heavens open to carry me away. I'm going down to Wallace's barn, grab my honey by the arm, gonna dance all night to a happy tune, swing my lady all around the room. I'm going way up high on the mountain, I'm gonna drink from the rainbow fountain, where the birds sing, the trees sway, and the heavens open to carry me away. The dancing's through, tell ya what I'm gonna do. Take my honey from one little stroke, kiss her and hug her, never let her go, no. No. I'm going way up high on the mountain, I'm gonna drink from the rainbow fountain, where the birds sing, the trees sway, and the heavens open to carry me away. I'm going way up high. I'm going way up high. I'm going way up high. Way up high. Way up high.
B-O-M-I-T. Vomit. Is that good so far?
That's good so far. Now, how about saying what you guys want to talk about?
Well, we're just announcing there's my favorite storyteller is coming to town, and it's going to be part of a series of storytelling things that are going on. And you see these signs around, and that's Don Baker. Don Baker is my favorite storyteller in the world, and he's from the western panhandle of Virginia. Heard the old traditional stories when he was a kid, left Virginia, went to Washington, D.C. For college, and hung around there for a while and got restless, and the stuff that he missed about being, I guess, what you call a hillbilly, and got some federal money to go and help Appleshot set up a media thing up there in the hills. And his part of the media thing was regional theater, I guess. And his regional theater group is called the Roadside Theater. They're coming up to Barrie Thursday the 27th, and I was able to hook them for an evening of solo storytelling at the Fletcher Library.
Fletcher Free Library.
Fletcher Free Library.
Fletcher Free Library. What time is that?
That's at 7:30 on February 26th. And he'll be telling traditional Southern mountain tales in his own inimitable Southern mountain fashion. He's a modern person, but he's got those old-time roots.
Now, are these stories for adults or for children?
The stories are for everybody. The evening is for what I call adults of all ages. And by that, I don't want it to be a children's program. It's not a children's program. And there'll be some stuff in it. Old-time tales sometimes are kind of dark, or have
maybe even bawdy.
Maybe a few bawdy elements to them. And I want him to feel free to tell any story that he wants to tell.
Because traditional storytelling has always been for adults and children, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much, and sometimes just for adults. When the kids go to bed, you tell those stories.
Right, I've heard those stories myself.
Yeah, sometimes the kids tell them. So I hope people will come and see it. It's going to be, I think, a really good show. Yeah. Times I've seen him have been just fantastic.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, too. This is Peter Burns and Tim Jennings.
Oh, and P.S. There's going to be a storytelling festival in October. So keep your eye out for it. It's going to be the third weekend in October. And Peter will be doing stuff, and I'll be doing stuff. A lot of other people will be doing stuff, too. So put it on your calendars.
Thanks a lot.
I would like to have one of our members make a very short statement to you, and then we will present our program. This is Shauna Nelson.
Good evening. I'd just like to share a few thoughts about my view of the role of arts in education. In the many years that the institution of education has been established in this country, countless reforms have been made to ensure that the youth in this country is as well prepared to become a functioning member of our society as possible. And not the least of these reforms was the introduction of the arts into the standard academic curriculum of the public schools in America. And since then, the arts have provided students with tremendous avenues of creativity, which may not have been discovered in the regular academic program. The public schools in Burlington, Vermont are no exception. Throughout the years, the music, drama, and art programs in our schools have not only benefited the students involved, but they have benefited our community as well. For example, each year the Burlington High School Music Department supports our community in such performances as performances at nursing homes, marching in the Memorial Day Parade, and other public service organizations. This year has been an especially exciting year for us at Burlington High School, because for the first time in over 20 years, we are honored to be the host of the 1986 New England Music Festival. This festival will be a wonderful opportunity for the Burlington community to learn a little bit more about young people and their music, and the high school which will host these 400 students. I don't think there's anyone here tonight who will argue with me that a good school needs a supportive and cooperative community behind it. The arts program in the Burlington public schools are very strong, and the faculty should be commended for their unyielding desire to tap young people's amazing creativity. These programs could be even more strong and could encompass more of the student body if we had greater support. The ultimate goal in American education system today is to educate the whole person, not just the academically minded. Without the arts, we as a nation would be limiting the dynamic creativity of our future, and that would be a terrible thing to waste. Thank you.
Ring around on the country green, never a sad face should be seen, for dancing brings all laughing. Ring around on the country green, never a sad face should be seen, for dancing brings all laughing. Sing and dance, dance and sing, ring around, all come join us in the dancing. Sing and dance, dance and sing, ring around, all come join us in the dancing. Swing or sing a song, dance to the tune, eyes and face bright, laugh to the moon, the days of our youth are fine. Swing or sing a song, dance to the tune, eyes and face bright, laugh to the moon, the days of our youth are fine. Dance and sing, sing and dance, sway to the melody line, come take part in the dancing. Dance and sing, sing and dance, sway to the melody line, come take part in the dancing.
The elections on March 4th in Burlington will be an important election, obviously. It'll be an important election not only because we'll be electing candidates to the Board of Aldermen and to the school board, but because also there will be 11 items on the ballot which the voters will be asked to decide upon. Many of these items are extremely important, and I hope the voters will give very serious consideration to each and every one of them. As many people in the United States, and certainly in the city of Burlington, understand, there is currently a counter-revolution taking place in the United States today, a counter-revolution of enormous consequence. And that counter-revolution is that after 50 years, the federal government, which has had a compact, an agreement in a sense, with working people and poor people and elderly people, with the sick, with the homeless, with the hungry, that compact of 50 years is now being dissolved. And that while the President of the United States is requesting $100 million more to destroy the government of Nicaragua, or while he and the Congress are talking about billions and billions more for the military, drastic cuts are being made in programs that are desperately needed in this country for those of us who are most helpless and for those of us who need the help from the government that we have been relying on for the last 50 years. And it seems to me that if city councils and mayors all over this country do not begin to fight back vigorously, then what they're talking about is a radical decline in the quality of living for the people in the cities and towns all over this country. That's what's going on right now. And I think here in Burlington, obviously, we intend to take the lead in that fight, and we intend to protect workers and property taxpayers and elderly people and tenants. And to some degree, that is what this campaign is about for March 4th, and that's what the ballot items are about. There are 11 items on the ballot. I personally support all of them, but I'm not at this time going to discuss each and every one of them, but there are a few of them which I would like to single out today for discussion. And they center, in this instance, around 2 or 3 basic issues. Number one is the continual struggle to find alternatives to the property tax, progressive sources of revenue, so that in the wake of the loss of revenue sharing, with Graham Rudman devastating one after another program, that the city find appropriate and progressive sources of revenue to replace those losses so that the quality of life in the city of Burlington continues at the high level that it presently exists at. We are dealing with the issue, ballot item number 3, will deal with a classification system of taxation. And I strongly support that concept. What that will mean, if approved by the legislature, is that for the first time in the history of the state of Vermont, a municipality will have the right to impose property taxes at different rates. The property tax in the state of Vermont today is an absolutely regressive form of taxation, because whenever a municipality has to raise property taxes, they have to do it at exactly the same rate, whether or not one is dealing with the largest corporation in the world or whether you are dealing with an elderly and poor homeowner. You raise the rates and the rates go up across the board. In many states in the Union, this is not the case. And the classification system of taxation allows us to, in fact, say to the non-residential property, the industrial and the commercial property, that we will have a 120% rate of taxation on that property while retaining a 100% fair market value rate on residential property. Now that's important, I think, number one, for ethical reasons, because in general, industrial and commercial property can afford to pay. And secondly, it is right and just, especially coming after reappraisal, where in this city we saw a $2 million shift in property taxes from industrial and commercial property to the residential property. And this begins in some small way to address that tremendous shift. That is important. The classification system of taxation will make the property tax more progressive, will bring in substantial sums of revenue into our city, not only for city government, but for the schools as well. And I would urge people to vote yes on ballot item number 3. Ballot item number 4 deals with another issue which is of concern not only to the city of Burlington, but to cities and towns really all over the state of Vermont. And that deals with the issue of tax-exempt properties. And in our case, in the city of Burlington, specifically the University of Vermont and the Medical Center Hospital of Vermont. And the issue here is really a simple one, in my mind. And that is, should the average property taxpayer the average homeowner in the city of Burlington be asked by state government, be forced by state government to subsidize two large institutions with enormous budgets? Should they be asked to subsidize these institutions when nobody has asked them if they want to do that? If the people of Burlington want to do that, that's fine, but no one has ever asked them. The state says that we have to do it, and I think that that's wrong. So I think the issue of asking these two major tax-exempt properties to start paying something for the police protection, the fire protection, the parks that they use, the streets which they drive on, the sidewalks they use, the snow clearing work which is done, I think is totally appropriate and will make the tax structure within the city of Burlington far more equitable. Item number 5 is another issue that we feel very strongly about, and we approach that from two ways. First of all, the real estate speculation tax, first of all and most importantly, says to those people who are interested in doing business in the city of Burlington in the sense of buying and selling apartment units, often at very large profits, and as a result of those transactions, the renters, the tenants in those apartments, are seeing their rents go way, way up in order to pay for the profits made by the seller. We say to those people, frankly, we don't want you doing business in the city of Burlington. And if you are going to do business in the city of Burlington, if you're going to buy and sell the housing that tenants live in with a result of their rents going way up, we're going to ask you to pay a steep tax on that. And we're going to use that accumulated tax money to go right in to moderate and low-income housing, either the construction of that housing, land trust, housing rehabilitation programs, but in one way or another we're going to use that money that's been raised by real estate speculation to help moderate-income people and low-income people deal with the housing crisis. And once again, we see this as a twofold approach. Number one, we intend to discourage the speculation in tenant housing in the city of Burlington, and number two, where that speculation takes place, we're going to be able to bring in some new revenue in order to help tenants and provide moderate and low-income housing in the city. And we think that that's a very important issue, and we hope that people will vote yes on item number 5. Item number 9 deals with another tenant issue of great importance. The fact of the matter is that if there is a state in the Union which provides less protection to tenants than in the state of Vermont, I'm not aware of it. The fact of the matter is that you have tens and tens of thousands of people all over the state of Vermont who have virtually no power, no law behind them in their relationship to a landlord. A landlord can come in and say, my Aunt Matilda is coming in from Nebraska, you have to vacate the apartment, I'm doubling your rent tomorrow, I want you out, I want this or that for a security deposit, and a tenant has almost no protection whatsoever. Now, in the city of Burlington, we have been making considerable progress in terms of providing or trying to build moderate-income housing and protecting tenants. We have made a good start. We are ahead of the rest of the state, clearly, but we have a long way to go. And one area it is clear that tenants need protection is in the issue and in the area of security deposits. Tenants have a right to know what the story is when they pay a security deposit. A landlord does not have a right to get anything he can get. A tenant has the right to know that the deposit that he or she is giving a landlord will be accruing interest. And a tenant has the right to know that it will be refunded, and if there is a problem, a place to go in order to discuss that. So we see the security deposit issue is an important step forward, not by any means the whole story, but an important step forward in terms of fighting for the rights of tenants who in the city of Burlington, I should mention, compose about 2/3 of our population. To conclude, as a result of drastic cutbacks on the federal level, we're going to see problems arising throughout the United States of America, in cities and towns, and you're going to see problems arising in housing, working people, medical care, the elderly, the hungry, the homeless. I believe that in the city of Burlington we are making a good start in trying to respond to what the federal government is doing. And I think in terms of developing progressive alternatives to the property tax and protecting our tenants, we're doing the right thing. So I hope that people will give these issues considerable thought and support them. Thank you.
On the tax classification.
The weekend is called Midwinter Muse, a poetry weekend, which is presented by the Mayor's Arts Council and sponsored generously by some assistance from the Green Mountain Cablevision Company. And we're very proud to present 2 evenings of performances. On Friday evening, the 21st of February at Memorial Auditorium, will be Aaron Tager performing, accompanied by Ellen Powell on bass, as an opening act to both Margaret Randall, who will be reading some of her poems, and Allen Ginsberg, who will be accompanied by Stephen Taylor on guitar.
Really? Those two are going to be here in Burlington? Really?
Yeah, right here.
Wow. Allen Ginsberg.
Shush.
And then what happens Saturday night?
That's on Friday night, February 21st at Memorial, and ticket prices for the Friday evening event are $6. On Saturday evening here at Contois Auditorium in City Hall will be highlighted local luminaries, poets from the area who range in age from age 6 to 86. Some highlighted performances will be readings by David Budbill, who has recently written a play called Judavine, which has been just recently closed. Also John Engels, and many other Vermont poets. In addition, we will have some musical accompaniment along with some of the performers. One in particular, Zenzili, who is a South African poet who is presently residing in Vermont, will be accompanied by the band called Fish. And he has a very interesting presentation which I think depicts present-day situation a la present rap music. So it's a combination of poetry and rapping and music, which ought to be a very interesting addition to the program. The evening will be a combination of readings by school children from local schools, as I said, local professional poets, some known and some unknown, and highlighted, as I said, with readings by John Engels and David Budbill.
Great. Thanks, Lou.
Okay.
Just like to note that the Planning Commission recently passed an ordinance which is going to be pending before the Board of Aldermen, making daycare homes a permitted use, no longer a conditional use. That's for daycare homes below, I believe it was 10 or 12 children. The idea behind this was to make daycare a more neighborhood-oriented use, and thereby, and to remove one further instance of review and of regulation, to make it easier for daycare to be local. Now, granted, the VNA proposal is not a local daycare proposal, but due to the fact that roughly 35 to 40% of the users of the daycare will be working within that immediate area, I think it's very much in spirit with the ordinance that we sent to the Board of Aldermen a number of weeks ago. And I think it's a really good idea just from that standpoint, to make daycare easier for people to use.
All these songs I'm singing right now are out of this little book, Carry It On, and I hope some of you will get hold of it. You could put on a program of songs at your school or your church or a summer camp or even in a union, and tell a story maybe that people would like to hear. The good songs, some old union songs and some other kinds of songs, some of the freedom songs of the 1960s. But near the end is a new song written by a young fellow down in Massachusetts. His name is Laurie Wyatt. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's a good singer, good songwriter. And in a way, this song is saying that everything in this world is related to everything else. Everything you and I do affects everything else. The stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Can you say the word somos? It means we are in Spanish. Try it. Somos. Oh, I hardly heard you. Didn't hear you. Try it again. Somos. It means we are. El barco means the boat. Try that. El barco. Now the next line says somos el mar. That means we are the sea. Try that line. Go set. Can you help me? Somos el mar. Say it again. Somos el mar. Here we go. From the beginning. Somos el barco. Somos el mar. Somos el mar. Can you say yo navego? That means I sail. Try. Yo navego. Then the next line says, tú navegas. That means you sail. Try. Tú navegas. From the beginning. Somos el barco, somos el mar, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti. Tú navegas en mí. Here's the translation. We are the boat. We are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Some of you are singing real nice, others holding back saying, well, I don't have a good voice, I'll let them do the work. Let me tell you, in this world you find some things go much better if you participate in it. This boat we are sailing in was built by many hands. The sea we are sailing on touches every sand. Somos el barco, somos el mar, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the boat, we are the sea, we are the sea. I sail in you, I sail in you, you sail in me, you sail in me. Laurie Wyatt wrote this song, first started writing it 13 years ago when President Allende was murdered with the help of our CIA. Then he couldn't think of any verses till about 2 years ago. He said, I gotta finish that. And he tried. But his third verse, I couldn't bring myself to sing. I said, says, our voyage has been long and hard, but yet we're sailing still. We've weathered every storm, and I'm sure we always will. I'm not sure. I wrote him, I said, Laurie, it's too Pollyanna. Poor guy couldn't sleep all night. He called me at 7 o'clock in the morning. He says, how's this? The voyage has been long and hard, and yet we're sailing still, with a song to help us pull together, if we only will. Somos el barco, somos el mar, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, oh, stick it out, we are the sea, we are the sea. Everybody, I sail in you, you sail in me, you sail I don't know about you, but when Reagan and Gorbachev had a meeting in Geneva, I said, hooray. And the best thing about it was they agreed to meet again. Things are going to happen in spite of everybody. With our hopes, we raise the sail and face the wind once more. With our hearts, we chart the course, never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, we are the sea. I sail in you, I sail in you, you sail in me, you sail in me. They said on that harp record, you know, ain't it that old? Just when you learn a song, it's all over. You find that's the way it is with life. On the other hand, the nice thing about a song, you can sing it again. Try that chorus. Somos el barco, somos el mar, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the boat, we are the sea, we are the sea. I sail with you, I sail with you, you sail with me, you sail with me.
My name is Peter Burns. I'm a storyteller. The stories I tell are mostly autobiographical stories, stories about my life. About 9 years ago, I hurt my shoulder and back. I was doing a lot of athletic things at the time. I was swimming. I was also taking Korean sword fighting called Shimgumdo. And I hurt my back. And it's been a problem ever since. It's what you could call chronic pain. Now, chronic pain is a problem that I share with millions of other Americans. It's the third largest health problem in the country at this time. I'm running a course for people who have chronic pain. It's a chronic pain storytelling course. I believe that people, if they can share the story of their pain, tell other people about it, it can help you. It can help you deal with the pain better. It can help you get a clearer idea of what's this pain all about? What does it mean in my life? I'll give you the details of that course. The course begins on the 24th of April. It ends on 19th of June. We'll meet on Thursday evenings at 7:30. It'll run for about an hour and a half. The course meets at St. Paul's Cathedral, which is on 2 Cherry Street in Burlington. This is a handicapped accessible course, and the course is free. The course is made possible by a grant from the Mayor's Arts Council. If you want to take this course, if you want to share the story of your pain with others, you need to pre-register. That's very important. So call me, Peter Burns, at 658-3654. Let me give you that number one more time. 658-3654. And if at all possible, call before the 6th of March. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon.
The first one has something to do with El Salvador. A few years ago here in Burlington, there was an evening event in support of El Salvador. It was an informational evening. There were slides, and there were some refugees from El Salvador talking about their life experience and telling a lot of horror stories about watching their village be destroyed, about their families being killed, about ending up, there was one particular woman who talked about all that very specifically, about what that was like for her, all those horrors, all those losses, and how she escaped, the only one in her family, and ended up in a refugee camp, and then went through the trauma of ending up in the United States. And so it was just
horror story after horror story illustrated in color by all these slides. And as she talked about all this horrible stuff, she just radiated joy and calm. And my friend who was there was just taken aback by this. How could she have gone through what she'd gone through in her life and be so joyful? And she went and asked her afterwards how she did it. And this woman from El Salvador said, you in the United States have the opportunity, or at least the hope, that you can get happiness from things, that you can get happiness from security, from your family. You can have the expectation, or at least the hope, of having a future, of staying alive. We have none of that. I can't count on any of that. All I have to make me happy is the moment in which I'm alive, just this moment. And the only people that I can love are the people that I'm with in just this moment. And so that's what I do. And so I'm joyful. So I offer you that as an affirmation of possibility.
Let me tell you something. About an hour and a half ago, I was down in Montpelier testifying before a legislative committee, and this is a lot more fun. Okay, Burlington is a great city because we're not afraid of new ideas, and we're not afraid of allowing people to participate in the process, whether it's politics or music. And what's happening tonight is really great and really exciting. Okay, the group, I want to say a word about the group here. The group that I'm introducing, the Sportin Johnsons, has told me to tell you that they want you to come down here and do some boogieing. That's what they said. The members of the group are John France, lead guitar, lead vocal. John Carter, rhythm guitar. Mark Elliott, bass. Dave Klausner, drums. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sportin Johnson.
on, we'll see. You can eat it on the lift. It's up to you again.
They said to go up there. That's what I was there in the green coming down, green pants.
Okay, this is a lollipop race. Anyone who's here can ski and get a lollipop. And the reason for having it is it forces you to actually try to ski in a certain direction, you know? The reason, you have a question for me?
How long have you been skiing?
I've been skiing since I was 40 years old. I'm midway between 40 and 50 at this point. And my daughter Sierra, when she was 4, wanted to ski here, and she was too young to really do it herself, and Mrs. Cochran convinced me that I was not too young, not too old to ski, and this place has changed my whole life. I want to say for everyone out there who's over 40 that you should definitely come over, because in this very soft, gentle way, the Olympic champions will teach you how to stay up on your feet and how to fall and how to get up, and all of a sudden winter will be this wonderful place where you want it to be cold and you want snow and you can't wait to get out here and spend a great time. So this place has really changed our lives. It's the one thing that the two of us do together. Like 2-3 times a week we come out here and we do an outdoor sport together. Right, Sierra? Now Sierra's on the racing team.
You're on the racing team?
Racing team.
Yeah. How often do you race? You race every week?
No.
Uh-huh.
So they have lollipop races every week.
Yeah.
And do you ski in the lollipop race every week?
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see, how many years have you been skiing now?
4.
4 years? Yeah. Which toe do you like the best?
The T-by.
Uh-huh. She can ski. You want to show them how you ski backwards?
No.
Is it easy enough using the rope toes and the toes here? Or is it hard?
The rope toe is not that easy.
No. I heard you did the rope toe one day, though, 21 times. Is that right?
Yeah.
She couldn't get up the next day. She was so sore. The thing about this place is that it's not as high as most mountains, and so people kind of snotty skiers think that it's not good enough, but if they came here and went up the rope toe and down, they get more skiing in per time than they would at any other place and get a much better workout.
Do a lot of your friends ski here, Sierra?
Yeah.
Who skis here that you know?
Jesse and another Jesse and my friend, but it doesn't go to my school.
The other thing about this place, it's really cheap compared to other ski areas around. It's the last mom and pop ski area I think in the state, and people can afford. It's prices that Vermonters can afford to pay instead of $29. Compared to $9 to $29 is approximately the difference. And
okay, here's your lollipop.
Oh, thank you. Some sugar for the day.
You're Bobby Cochran, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, believe it or not.
And how long have you been skiing here?
Oh, I've been skiing here exactly 25 years. As I remember, I was the first one up the rope tow.
Was that the first tow here for a while?
Yeah, we started with just a little rope tow behind our backyard. It was about 400 feet long, and we had lights in our backyard, so we'd come home from school and we were supposed to study a little bit, and then when it started to get a little dark, we'd turn on the lights and go skiing.
Where do you live now?
I live in southern New Hampshire, near Keene. I'm working in a little town called Walpole.
You still ski?
Well, as much as possible, yeah. Unfortunately, I have to work to support my family. Other than that, I think I'd be skiing 6 days a week, maybe. But I still get a chance to ski, you know, quite a bit during the winter.
Now, I remember you skiing in the Olympics. You want to talk about that at all?
Sure, that's kind of ancient history now, but
not that ancient.
it's fun to think about still, and it was an experience that I guess I'll never forget. And I think, you know, we raced a lot all over the world, and we basically raced against the same people that we raced against in the Olympics. But the Olympics were different for me, especially because of all the people that we met from all different walks of life all over the world. You know, the skiers, even the Europeans, we had a lot in common with, so they were kind of like our friends anyway, so it was nothing new to race against them. But we kind of ran into the Russians and the Iron Curtain people and met just a lot of different people. It was really quite an experience.
Great. What makes the ski area so special for everybody here?
Well, in my mind, it's just one word, and that's fun. It's not a high-pressure area, and it's not an area where, you know, you have the greatest expert trails or anything, but we have people from age 2 up to 70-something who are up here just having a lot of fun, and to me, that's what it's all about.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for the lollipop.
Sure. Okay, you're Lindy Cochran?
Yes.
What makes this area so special?
Oh, the friendly atmosphere, and everybody knows everybody. It's small, so you don't lose anybody. You know, you don't lose your friends. If you miss them for a few minutes, you stay at the bottom, and there they are, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I've been noticing that just in the short time I've been here. My friends come down every 3 minutes. It's great. The Cochrans, I mean, the Cochrans are an important name in American skiing. Do you want to talk about that for me?
Well, all 4 of us made the Olympics. The 3 older ones, Marilyn, Barbara Ann, and Bobby, made it in the '72 Olympics. Barbara Ann won a gold medal. The first woman in, I think it was 20 years to do that. And then I was in the '76 Olympics. Marilyn won the World Cup Giant Slalom in 1969, which is a combined event, which is a cumulative throughout the winter, which was impressive. And they won many international races.
What was it like for you to be in the Olympics?
Very special. That's one of the main things I remember of my many years of racing, was that those few days there.
And what was so special for you?
There were a lot more people there, and everybody, you know, the whole atmosphere of the event was just so exciting, and all the other countries that were involved, which throughout the year we race against most other countries, but the Olympics there were more people, more countries involved with all the other events, and that was exciting.
You're Mr. Cochran?
Right.
And what's your first name?
Gordon.
Gordon? Uh-huh.
They call me Mickey.
Uh-huh. And what is today, or what is this weekend?
Well, it's supposedly an anniversary, 25th anniversary of our starting this area, and
I want to know, what was it like for you as a father when your kids were famous international racers?
They were still our kids, you know, and we were proud of them. I don't think I still keep. The other day I was telling the local coaches about Bobby when he was 16 winning because they were saying how the kids down south, the kids 15, 16 years old are really skiing. And I said, well, and they're saying how this has all changed. And I said, well, you go back, Bobby was 16, he won a Europa Cup in Europe at Salem Sea, he won the slalom. They looked at me like, they just don't realize what the kids did. And, but I was so involved that it was from a technical standpoint in working with them, and that I was so critical of them. I mean, I was always constructive criticism, hopefully, but that was my job, was to criticize what they were doing and try to improve. So consequently, I saw a lot of things that I felt they should be improving on, and as I say, I was apt to be pretty critical. Not in a derogatory sense, because I tried to explain what I saw and why I thought that they should do this or do that, and they were pretty receptive. They came to me and they realized that some of the time I was right.
What makes this area so special?
We're catering a lot to little tiny kids. We've got a whole bunch of little kids.
I've seen a lot of kids.
Oh, we do a great deal with these little kids, and we're encouraging the parents. We don't get involved directly with the, with under 6, because it's so time consuming to get results. And so what we do, we encourage the parents to work and show them what to do to get their kids started, and because it does take time. But I would say we must have 30 to 40 3 to 4 year olds that are skiing by themselves here now. I mean, they're using our beginner's lift, and which was designed for that purpose. And then we've tried our terrain. We've tried to keep the terrain. It isn't the most difficult terrain in the world, but it's fun.
This is Jenny Cochran, mom of 4 famous skiers, and mom of the ski slope.
We'll be open every day this week for the vacation week, February 17th through the 21st. And we're having a special ski week for a lesson each day, plus a lift ticket each day for a special rate. And then we'll have another one the following week, Monday through Friday. And it works out well because the continuity of each lesson each day, it really develops the skier as a skier. And by the end of the 5 days, they usually are doing very well and very competent on their skis.
My 2 boys are interested in skiing. About how many kids are in each class?
Well, it varies. Sometimes it's 1, and sometimes it's 8. I usually try to keep it below 8, but sometimes it's 12 to 15 if we have an advanced skier, and if we just happen to have quite a few, but that doesn't happen that often. We do try to keep it below 8.
And who are the teachers?
This coming week will be my daughter Barbara Ann and a friend Michelle Frazee and myself. And the following week will be Mary Ladderbush and myself and Michelle Frazee.
Which group do you usually teach?
I usually teach the beginners. So
Oh, good.
that's usually what happens.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just come out and ski.
Great.
It looks like it's going to be a great week.
Thanks.
Okay.
So do we get to see what's inside there?
Oh, you want to see what's inside here? Sure. Here he is. This is Douglas. Can't see, but there he is.
Oh my.
Douglas.
Oh my.